Today, I have a really special guest, Bryan Casella, BC Group Real Estate. Is that right, Bryan?
Team BC, yeah.
Team BC, sorry. And Bryan and I actually connected through BombBomb. BombBomb put out an influencer guide last year for 2019, and basically, we were both in the same category, which is sales education. So I saw your stuff, Bryan, and then through that, I checked it out and started to learn more about your brand and your YouTube videos, and started watching all this stuff, and really love the stuff that you put out there for the agent community. It's like you said, it's really raw. So I encourage everybody here on the podcast, on the live, everywhere. If you haven't checked out Bryan's stuff, check it out, because he's got some amazing stuff that is really helpful to both the agent community and the lending community. And just, Bryan, the majority of the audience for the podcast and the show is other real estate professionals.
Dope, man.
Okay.
Thanks for having me, dude. I'm excited to do this, and it's cool that someone else acknowledges what you just said, like being raw and just putting it out there. Cause I've done so much now with collaborations and, speeches and that kind of stuff. And a lot of times I'm very confined to what I can say and how I can say it. And it dilutes the message too much, man. And I know people need to hear it a certain way. It's going to offend a lot of people. It's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but it's more effective. So when we do something like this, man, I just think it's tenfold as effective versus doing it the, in quotes, traditional way,
Yeah. And to that point, Bryan, it's like, we were just talking before we went live here, and I've had this same experience of like trying to, when a lot of the audience is other professionals that want to start doing video. I know you're doing a video challenge right now to help people with that. And like, people want to put out video, they want to build their brand because they've been told that they need to do this. And then now, somebody told me like nobody listens until they get punched in the face, and now you've been punched, right? With the market kind of slow down and things like that. And so now you realize, shit, I do need this stuff. So they want to put out content, and they're always trying to think like, and I fell victim to this as well. It's like, what would the audience want to hear? And let me put on that suit, let me put on that face or that message to put out what the audience would want. And that content never really worked for me. Like, it's limited engagement, didn't really help connect with people. Because I was trying to do something, trying to like say something that I thought would be useful. So then when I just started to share my own message, what's working for me, how I really felt about a situation, or what I did to overcome something, that's the stuff that worked. Is that what you found as well when you started your content journey?
Yeah, man, big time. When I started doing stuff on YouTube, as an example, back in, because I got my real estate license officially like middle end of 2013. So the market had just turned. It was seeing a surge after, the collapse in 2008. Wasn't much on there about sales or real estate at that time. YouTube was still kind of in the infancy stage. I think it had just started monetizing not too long before. A lot of the people that I did see on there were, 50, 60 plus, and getting into the business. I was about 27, 28, 6 or 7 years ago. And I thought, man, like I can't relate to any of these guys. So in the beginning, for me, it was mainly putting out content just as like kind of like a video diary, if that makes sense, just documenting what I'm doing. And then I very quickly realized, there's something here, because I guarantee a lot of people younger and older than me, but maybe below 40, 45, are looking for material like I am on YouTube, who are getting into real estate or something similar that could be under the entrepreneur umbrella, so to speak. So that's another reason I started putting it out. But I wasn't trying to be the guy selling a course and all that. I was just, hey, this is the book that I'm reading. Check it out. Because I learned this technique in the book and I applied it in this conversation and it worked. Hey, today is Monday. I'm going to be in the office at 7:30. I'm walking in. I'm about to make 300 calls. I'll report in with you guys when I'm done with the calls. Hey, I'm going to go door knock and do 100 doors for 3 hours. I'll report in at the end and share my results and how the conversations went. And that's how it started, man. I also started doing a little bit of content in regards to educating the consumer, because I noticed very early on too, when I would send somebody a video or a text message, the response was quicker and a lot better received than just calling them and leaving voicemails, as I was taught. Just call, just call, just call. So I started being a little bit more, we can say, versatile in my approach. And instead of just hiding those videos, I would just put them out on YouTube, and I would tell agents too, hey, this is the type of video that I send my clients. This is the exact one I send somebody, or this series of videos before I go on a listing appointment, to kind of set the stage and set the tone. Right?
Yeah.
And position yourself as an expert. So that's kind of how it started, man. And the whole, now we morphed into, 2019 and 20, where I'm doing a lot more educational stuff and coaching. That came because people were banging at my door saying, hey, dude, do you have a product on door knocking? Do you have one on cold calling? Then that, that evolution started. But in the beginning, it was just documenting what I was doing. And kind of like in retrospect, dude, it was like a big middle finger to the people who told me I wasn't going to do well and that I had no chance in real estate. I had a big chip on my shoulder. And I'm not recommending to people that you only have that as your motivation, but that was a deep burning fire in me, dude, because everything I had done in my life up to that point, even that I succeeded in, I was always told I wouldn't be able to do it or I wouldn't get to that point that I got to. So when I did it, I said, you know what? I'm going to silence all the critics and I'm just going to give them a big middle finger, dude, because nothing stings more to the opposition and the haters than your success.
Yeah.
And that was one of those fires, man. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be the person who's in your face. And I get it from them. The people that don't like me, man, I see you everywhere. Good. That means I'm doing my job. And that really was that beginning stage, man, that got me going. And after you build the momentum with it, dude, it's like brushing your teeth. I'm sure you know now, it's like, it's just effortless and you do it. The ideas come, the video ideas, the collaborations. It becomes like a flowing river.
Yeah, and that's such an important point because I always say this to people is like action creates opportunity, right? So by just taking action on your ideas, putting out stuff, you just all of a sudden get more ideas. So everyone can go from basically, well, what am I going to talk about if I do video, or what am I going to get? What are we going to, what's my message, or what's my content going to be about? You don't have anything. Once you get going, the ideas are endless. We have a list of kind of things we would like to shoot or do. And it will never get to them all, right? Like you just can't do it. So, I really appreciate that as far as leading by example. So I think that's what is really helpful. And you'll be surprised, there's not that many voices within the industry who are actually in the trenches, right? There's coaching, there's coaches, but there's like, okay, one thing that really resonated with my audience was like, I'm educating other mortgage professionals, other real estate professionals, but I'm actually running our business. I'm in the office right now. We have a team here and we're closing deals, and I'm dealing with the same shit that everybody else is dealing with on a daily basis. We have people canceling and scared and so helping them from the perspective of like, here, I'm with you guys in the foxhole versus the coaches who are kind of, they've been removed from the business. So have you found that is one of the reasons why the agent community kind of resonates with you, because you're actually doing the work?
Absolutely. I look back to, the first kind of content that really got me out there. And a lot of it was going door to door and calls and just showing live calls, right? Not only live calls, but also live role plays that I was doing. So action items that an agent would do or a professional would do shown online. I would also post some of the trainings that we were doing with my team, and I'm the one pretending to be the agent in all the calls. I'm the one, asking them, hey, be tougher, let's do this. I'm the one trying to get content and audio from a door to door scenario, or posting scenarios where I've asked clients at a listing appointment if it's okay if I record it, because I had a coach and they critique it, right? And
Yeah.
I've shown people that content too. And I've even asked them, is it okay if I release it as like a teaching thing? And some clients actually said yes, right?
Okay.
And I tell people that also gives you an edge because the client wants you to do good, so they're more likely to sign with you, right? And I kind of learned that over the years. And I've only done that 2 or 3 times, but that's the content that people can watch and be like, dang, I can see myself in there doing this right now. Or, oh man, he said that line, that's perfect. It resonates at such a deeper level because it's a combination of theory and practice at the same time, right? Most people are only going to talk about theory. Like as an example, I'm sure you've read books
Yep.
that millions of people have read, yet you've actually been able to implement a lot of the things from that book and see results from it, versus the other people who just parrot the information and claim they know it, but they have no fucking results to show for it.
Yeah.
Which is what I tell people. You look at yourself, you look at me, we're living, breathing examples of our philosophy. We're practitioners of it, and you see results from it and effects from it. So that goes so much deeper when somebody watches you and tunes in, versus just the guy who's saying, oh, I read this book and I learned this. And you can tell when you listen to them. That's why we have the confidence and the ability to be raw about it and be so authentic, because we know it's true to the core and we've experienced it. So the message reaches more people, I think, but the select people who need to hear it. Because we know, man, you've been in the business long enough. The majority of people who say they're going to do something are not.
Yeah.
Whether it's a customer or an agent or any professional. You'll get a room of 100. Me and you can get together, do a 3-day event, give them all the tools that we know, even for free, and maybe 1% of them are actually going to implement it. And we know that, but that's okay. But I want to get through to that 1 or 2 people in the audience by doing it this way. Because if I do it the other way, then maybe it won't even get through to them. And that to me is the most important thing when it comes to this, whether I'm making a video targeted at the consumer or a professional to help them. Because if the message is delivered correctly and we are a representation of that as a practitioner, and we live and breathe that philosophy and we have the results, then I think you have the formula or concoction for like just being that right influencer that people connect with and really want to ride with and be loyal to. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, big time. And to your point there, I found this in actual practice. Like this actually happened to me where, I have I know you don't have this issue, but I still get caught up in my head where when I'm saying I have a thought of something I want to share with the audience, and I think that, oh shit, this could probably offend like 40% of the people, right? And so I don't say it, or like I pare it back a little bit. And but recently I did a post that basically my thought was, I'm watching the news. The news is all about the death count. They're manipulating numbers, in my opinion, to make it, to put out a certain image and keep you kind of drawn into this fear. It's gone to the point, in my view, of fear mongering. And it's all about destruction, and we're going to head into a crisis, recession, layoffs. People are starving in the streets, dying. And like, if you watch that all day, it was really affecting the way I would work, because then I watched that and I'm like, I don't think I should prospect. I shouldn't make that higher. I should compare back. Maybe we shouldn't do that next marketing campaign, because you're like so scared. So I put out a piece that basically said, what you focus on grows. And if you're watching the news right now, it's going to kill your business. Just simple as that. And I've done probably 200-300 posts on Instagram, at Facebook, LinkedIn. And that post I did was the best. It got the most reach ever of any other post. And it was basically like 6 lines on a page and, one sentence thought, but it really was authentic. It was like what I was really feeling at the time. And so, like, to your point, like, yeah, there's some people who probably said, oh, this dude's insensitive. You need to be informed. You need to watch the news. And this guy is ignorant, and that's fine. But the majority of the people that you find your tribe, you know what I mean? And those are your people that be your best fans online, as well as your potential customers.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you brought that up because, as Trump would say years ago, probably about 2 years ago, is when I really finalized that process, as he would say, of like draining the swamp, where I just drew a complete wedge, right? You either love me or you hate me, and I'm okay with that. Everybody thinks the right move is to be in the middle and be PC and be like, well, everybody likes me. That doesn't get you anywhere, right? That doesn't get you anywhere. I want a customer who either is completely repelled by me or is like, I have to work with Bryan. He's the one. I want to create that type of emotional effect because I know it's effective for business. But in regards to what you said, now more than ever is the time for people to educate themselves. We're simply voicing what we see and what we believe. And everybody has an opinion. Everybody has the right to say what they want.
Yeah.
You all have a Facebook, you all have an Instagram, you all have a YouTube, you have a voice that you can put out for free. Now, other people, of course, are going to infringe on that and come in and talk shit and spew their hate. That's fine, right? I'm not going to sit there and battle these people and trolls all day. I don't have time for it. I know you don't either. But I would say do your research. If something that Neel posted as an example, or me, or something we said, because I've talked about this topic too, right when it came out. And I got completely shattered by YouTube and demonetized for like a week. And they wanted to like shut my channel down because I was talking about the coronavirus. I haven't really shared that, but that's why my numbers have been down lately, because they attacked me. People were reporting my videos. I got like 2 unwarranted strikes on my YouTube channel. And if you get 3, they shut you down. Now I was able to reverse them because I talked to somebody at YouTube, but it ruffled too many feathers. But I was like, you know what? I want to get it out. And you're right. The media, whether people like it or not, does have an agenda, and they want to control your thoughts. You just said, if you watch the news, it doesn't make you want to work. I've had to have multiple meetings with people in my office, my team members, my assistant, and other people, because they were watching the news and they were starting to believe it. Okay. Now, I'm not saying believe me or Neel. I'm saying do your research. There's a lot of facts out there to find out where you stand. And if you're sitting right now in a position, and this can be universal advice now, if you're sitting there in a position, he said something very particular: what you focus on expands. What you focus on gets brighter. Me, you, or anybody else on this podcast right now or listening to the recording cannot control what's going on. Whether you believe the pandemic is true or not, we have zero control over that as an individual right now. All you can control is how you're going to process it and what you're going to do about it and how you're going to live your life now. Truth is, we're quarantined here in California, right? I can't go to the fucking market unless I have a mask on. Same thing with the bank. but hey, I have to live with it. I still have to do my activities. How you let that play on your mentality and on your emotions and your mindset and your processes of living as a human being, that's on you. And if you're 18 years or over listening to this, that is your responsibility as an adult, and you're not going to get any sympathy from me. I can help you. I can lead you to the water, but you got to drink. So my main message was this: I'm not fighting you. I'm saying open your eyes and take control of your mind and your communication. Because if you do that, then you're unstoppable regardless of what's going on out there.
Yeah.
Because you're conducting your business and so am I. Have we been affected? Sure. Because the masses are consumers and a percentage of them are freaked out and said, hey, I don't want to get a loan. I don't want to sell. I don't want to buy. I'm going to wait. But there's a lot of people out there who vibe with us and they're like, I don't care. I still want to buy and sell. And we have a duty to go talk to them. We have the duty now as professionals to educate them on the truth. I can't tell them the scientific backings of the virus, but I can give them, like I did on my YouTube a couple of days ago, I can give an up-to-date comparison of the market crash before versus now. I can give a comparison of, previous issues that we've had and how it's affected the real estate market. And I can give them a real-time, up-to-date info on the market, which is what I do. And then they can make a decision based on facts, not on emotions, which is what we're supposed to do as salespeople anyway, right? So
Yep.
that's the key. So focus on you, how you think, what you're doing, and your actions. That's all you have control over. But if you let an outside influence play your emotions like a puppet, you are always going to be susceptible to them. And man, before I pass it back to you right now, this is why I got so into NLP and hypnosis, dude. And I
Yeah.
know those subjects inside and out, because all the techniques I've learned and that I use, they are using against us. And they
Yeah.
know it inside and out. They have the top experts using that shit against you. So my friends, educate yourselves and control your mind and emotions. If you can do that, then you are all powerful and you're not going to be manipulated by any outside force.
Yeah, it's so true, and this goes beyond politics, right? Like, it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. This is about your business, and like, to me, serving more clients, being here, being of service to more people, putting out content, helping people during this time of struggle is more important. And I really believe that, like, I'm seeing people's true colors now because of this crisis. I'm really seeing, like, and there's some people that I'm like, wow, that's great, dude. This dude stepped up, or this lady stepped up, and she's crushing it, and she's there for her community and her clients. And then I'm seeing people disappear. I'm seeing people just go into a hole, and you don't even hear from them, and they've just literally died. Like, oh, I don't know, like, I can't, I don't know what that difference is between those two individuals, but you're seeing it in real time now. And unfortunately, I'm seeing more of the latter. And that's disappointing to me, because your clients really need your support. So in the absence of facts or truth or like any of the stuff, it's just all these agendas, hidden agendas everywhere. Like, who can be the voice of reason? And you, like, as a local expert in your community, I believe you can be that voice, right? So you, like what you just said, sharing the facts. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. Let's talk about the facts. There's not enough inventory to have a crisis like we did in 2008. We don't have the same factors leading into it. The difference between this recession that's going to happen and the last one, the certain sectors are being obliterated. Hospitality industry, travel industry. Yes, I understand. But there's other opportunities. You can pivot. In the last recession, when you got laid off, you had to go live with your mom in the basement. Like, there was no other opportunity. There was like complete financial ruin. So now, like, there's people thriving and there's people starving, and you can make those changes, So I think that's one important thing. And then, like, with the housing inventory, we're just not seeing prices fall off a cliff. You are seeing some things soften that were overpriced. But in our market, I know you have the same thing going on in California market. There's not the level of inventory to see prices fall like that. Is that what you're seeing on the ground?
Absolutely, man. I took a look. Interest rates are half of what they were before the crash last time. Inventories at about a little over 2 months, I think in LA County, 2.1, and then in Orange County, 2.3, and then in San Bernardino and Riverside County, probably like 2.2, which is nothing. And I took a look. I think in the earlier parts, right before it crashed in January 2008, there was already 16 months of inventory, which is
Exactly.
ridiculous, right? It's just crazy. So if anything, right, me as an individual, if I'm going to give anybody advice too, I can rest my mind on that because it's logic and it's reason, which is where you need to go, right? All this stuff, like if we want to look into the virus and what the media is saying, you might not know. But if you're a professional in whatever industry, take a look at the facts within your industry to give yourself that vote of confidence. This is what allows me now to dissect a conversation with somebody on the phone who's worried. Oh, you know what, Bryan, I don't want to do anything with the coronavirus. Cool. What specifically are you worried about in regards to this virus and your decision to blank, buy a home, sell a home? Well, we heard the real estate market's going to crash. Okay, what's your source that told you the real estate market's going to crash? So I can verify it for you and let you know if it's true or not. The news. Okay, who spoke on the news? Because I can tell you this. You know what? Pull your cell phone out right now. I'm going to send you a screenshot. And I did this. This is like a live example. I took a snapshot when I logged onto the MLS of like new listings, pending, sold, and I sent them like those four. I was like, take a look at your phone. What does that say? And they're like, active, sold. I was like, look at sold. That's how many homes closed yesterday. And he's like, whoa, really? I'm like, there you go. Look at the new listings. So is the market still moving? Right. And I give people the facts. Now that's where your calm and certainty and your skills have to come in, because I'm seeing so many people, like you said, just disappear. All the people who claim to have a strong mindset are gone. 99% of them. All the people who are flexing are gone. So for those of like us, if you watch us and like you really subscribe to Neel, you like his stuff, or me, this is when you need to pay attention to what people are doing, how they're thinking, and how they're carrying themselves. We talked before this went live, and we're like, dude, we're conducting business as usual. Has there been an effect? Sure, but we're still full steam ahead like the train. You know what I mean? And that to me is the most important thing. And that's what's going to allow me to sit there with a straight face, confident, cool, calm, and collected with a client, and sit down and get to a clear decision of let's do something or let's wait. Versus many other agents are going to call and they're going to say, we don't want to do anything because of the coronavirus, and they're stuck now. And they're like, well, where do I go? They said they want to wait. Well, that's where your skills and opening up people through conversation is going to help, right? Ask better questions. We have to learn the skill. You know what I'm seeing too, dude? And then I'll pass it back to you. I'm seeing sales and skills being villainized. And, oh, well, you just have to build a relationship. Don't be the pushy salesman. Who said you have to be pushy? How about you marry both and learn how to build a relationship and have world-class skills? How about we do both? I think the or syndrome, that's what I labeled it as, is killing people. Hey, bro, should I cold call or door knock? Hey, should I be a salesman or just build relationships? Dude, do both. Why are you killing yourself with this or? Like, I don't know where that came from, man. But like when I talk about it, again, by a lot of people, I've been labeled like the asshole, aggressive, pushy salesman. I'm not. I'm good at what I do. I can build relationships and sell at the same time. And now I'm laughing and smiling because all the people that have no skills are coming to me running like, dude, I can't open people up in conversations. How are you doing it? Well, my friends, now you're lined up where 2 years ago when I gave you this advice, you gave me the middle finger. So
Yep.
that's where we're at right now, man.
It is. It's so true. So let me this is an important thing I think everybody could benefit from. Uh, I I don't know who said this, but it stuck with me always. Humans are attracted to confidence, clarity, but they're repelled by confusion. Okay, so this is the problem. Those same people that are like DMing you and me, hey, should I do this or this? Or should I do this or this? Hey, I have an idea. Of these three, which ones should I do? My response is always all of them. Let's go. Like what, just pick one and go. What are we waiting for? You like the right perfect day to shoot the video or the right camera or the right mic? Like, let's just do it. And then you'll get better. Maybe this one won't be perfect, but you'll get better. My first pieces of content were garbage. Like you can't learn, but you can't learn to ride a bike in a classroom. So you have to try. So this is what I tell people. And then you get the confidence and then you get the clarity. So like when I'm talking to a customer, I truly believe in the data because I've done my research and I share that data and there's no wavering in it. You just share the facts. This is what is the difference between 2020 and 2018 and 2008. Here are the different, then you can make a decision, an informed decision. And I think if you share things with confidence and clarity, that's how you're getting people to open up because now they're like, oh, okay. And they believe, so I don't know what it was, but I switched that a couple of years ago and it dramatically improved my conversion rate. It dramatically improved my business because I had the confidence to just tell people. And I think that would be a huge benefit to people right now, especially with the current, indecision going on, because that's all their people are just scared to make a wrong decision. I think everybody's anxious about buying at the wrong time. Even before this happened, someone's like, am I buying at the top? Neel, like, I know the agent has got us in contract, but like, give me your personal opinion. Do you think I'm buying, is this the right, would you buy this house? And you have to like, give them your honest opinion. Like, what's your time horizon? What's the deal with this community? Why are you buying this property? And all these things, and you could share with them in a real way. And I think that everybody, when you're starting to get those questions before, and now you're getting them every single call, it just shows that people are very anxious about buying at the wrong time. So I just think like we got to share more things about that with our clientele, either through content, scale your communication, or on a one-to-one basis if you're making calls. And then if you stayed active with that, you'll see that people are willing to transact even in times of uncertainty.
Absolutely, bro. And what I think of when you said that is, back in the day, we all had, I would say we all have that one memory of that one friend that, like, whenever you needed an honest, straight shot answer, you'd go to them. And then if you were insecure about something, you would avoid them because you're like, dude, if I ask that person, they're going to tell me the truth. That's kind of a strategy that I use. I want clients and customers to view me like that. And I've done business with people actually who say, well, we don't like your style. We don't like you personally, but we know, goddamn, you're good and you're going to be honest and you're going to shoot us straight. So we want to do business with you, or at least interview you and have a chat with you. That's what I want. Right now, how do we start creating that in an environment like this? Well, the first thing that I started doing that was a slight pivot, I like that you used that word earlier, was when this dropped, I immediately started making content around it in the scope of real estate. California Association of Realtors released the COVID-19 amendment. Within minutes, I shot a 5-minute video and posted it on my YouTube. It got like 2,000 or 3,000 views in the first couple hours, right? When we got deemed as non-essential for that like week or week and a half and we had to shut down, boom, I made a video. California real estate on hold for realtors, boom. And I positioned myself right away, so much so that even after 2 videos, I started getting messages all the time. Hey man, do you have an update? Like if I wouldn't post a video for 2 or 3 days, what's going on? We were sending that out to our database. We have, I think at this point, like 2,500 people in our database total. And the open rate on all those educational videos and market updates was like upwards of like 50, 60%, which for us, we don't get that open rate. But I noticed that's a hot topic. So I made that adjustment quick. So we can't be hung up on, well, I need the Shure mic that BC has here that's super good, or I need the crazy, video. Dude, just get it out. It's so easy nowadays with social media. It's effortless. I mean, man, my fucking iPhone 11, dude. I put one of those little lava mics on it. It's 4K and the audio quality is crisp. And it's literally 4K. When I started, I would shoot. I think the first 3 videos on my YouTube channel, I had like an iPhone 6. And dude, you'll laugh. I didn't know that like when you film landscape, you make the video, and then if you film like this, there's black bars. And for weeks, bro, I'm like, dude, why do I keep getting black bars on the sides of my videos? Like, what the hell's going on? And somebody told me, like, you idiot, just turn the phone over. I'm like, no, you're kidding me, right? But even something as simple as that, I didn't let it stop me. I still made the content. So I think opportunity is abundant. And what I just said, I know you're doing, and we're able to see it. So the last thing before I pass it back to Neel is the main thing that is going to be advantageous for everybody listening is a shift in perspective, right? What the media is doing is getting you to focus on only the bad, the negative, and negative possibilities and possible repercussions in the future. So you're being programmed on a mental level to only see the bad or what's missing, which at the root is your problem. A lot of people that say, I don't have the motivation or I can't do this, that's a symptom of the real problem. The real problem is your perspective. Somebody can bring me something that they perceive as negative, and I'll give them 20 opportunities or positives in it. It's simply a shift in perspective. You can make an argument for either one, but which one is going to serve you more? If you adopt the perspective of seeing opportunity, you'll start doing what we do. You'll be able to make the videos because it's not rocket science. Anybody could have said, well, oh, what he's doing is smart, but it's not complicated. I just did it and I saw the opportunity in it. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, huge. It's and we've already given people here some ideas on like things that they could be sharing about their local market, because the national news reports things at scale. Sometimes I feel like they report on only the worst possible markets, but you're seeing that, and you can actually report on your local market, the local things that are going on the ground, because you have unique perspective there that people would really want to see. Um, and like I always have this kind of question in my mind, because it's just like what you said. Why do the agent community and lending community, why are they paralyzed when it comes to this stuff? Like um, with anything else, it seems like you could if it was a life or death situation, which it is now with your business. um, is it because you could get by without doing it for so long, and now it's going to slowly become a requirement? Or what do you think that is? Like, why do people just not, what's stopping them from, like, okay, they totally agree with what you're saying, they totally agree with what I'm saying, they needed to put out a video this week, and then I'll ask, where's that video? I'll check, it's not there. And next week it's not there. I'm like, what's holding them back from doing that? It can't be just laziness.
Well, it's a lot, man. And the first thing before I get into that is, I predicted weeks ago, I said, I think if there's a bigger effect or smaller effect, the smaller effect is going to be the bigger effect. So you're seeing that, and the first thing before I get into that is, I predicted weeks ago, I said, I think if there's a bigger effect or smaller effect, the smaller effect is going to be the bigger effect. So you're seeing that, and the first thing before I get into that is, I predicted weeks ago, I said, I think if there's a bigger effect or smaller effect, the majority of that ripple, we can say, in the pond, how big it's going to be and how intense, is how we as professionals respond on the lending side and on the real estate side. If we take this with more calm, if we're that voice of reason across the nation and across the world, the consumer is going to have a lot more confidence to conduct business as usual. But what you're seeing and I'm seeing is people shutting down, claiming that they can't do anything, right? So I think that's the main problem we have to diagnose and fix. But on the action side, I just think this is another, we can say, reason for people not to do it. It's just this one affects them a lot more because it's life or death. Versus before, we've been saying this stuff for years, people still won't make the videos or take the action or make the call or build their skills. But now if they don't do it, there's bigger consequences and repercussions. So I just think this is a bigger slap to the face versus a small one where we would just kind of nudge them. Hey, get it done. Hey, start. Hey, it's going to come a day where you're really going to need this. That's why me and you are in a position with, certainty, multiple streams of income. We're still conducting business as usual, but we prepared ourselves for this moment. And now a lot of agents are put in a position where they have to jam pack and accelerate a year or two worth of like skills and building all this into a week or two. And now even more so than before, they feel overwhelmed or, oh man, this is impossible, I'm behind. Well, it's their own fault. So I think it's just a matter of people not taking responsibility for their lives and really stepping up. Me and you obviously have a desire to get better, right? We don't need anybody to tell us to get up and do our job. We do that on our own. Somewhere along the lines, people have forgotten that and they think they need me or you to motivate them or to give them purpose or to get them out of bed. That's on you, ladies and gentlemen, not us. We can give you some tools and help you, sure, but it has to ultimately come down to you. And if this situation right now, where the media is literally trying to perpetuate a crash and a crisis, doesn't get you off your ass, then I'm sorry, nothing's going to get you off your ass. And I know you don't want to hear that, but it's on you. You need to look in the mirror and say, how bad do I want this shit? And am I willing to do whatever it takes to learn? And for many of you, it's getting on video and feeling embarrassed. I know I felt embarrassed when I did it, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't feel good. I didn't feel confident. I had fucking note cards that I would try to put like behind the phone to try to look up at because I had no idea what the fuck I was talking about. But you got to be willing to do those things to get better. It's not going to be easy. There's never going to be a magic bullet. I know I'm kind of, regurgitating what we've said over years, but it's true. If what's going on doesn't get you to step up, then I don't know what's going to get you to step up besides maybe holding a gun to your head. And even then you might doubt yourself. Right. So it's crazy, man. I just think people need to take responsibility for their lives, man, plain and simple. Because again, like we said, we can lead the horse to the water, but we cannot make them drink. They have to do it. They have to do it. And in this age where it's so much easier, I don't know why people aren't doing it, man. That's, I think, the biggest question mark in the human existence, bro. If somebody can crack that code, then they would probably be a gazillionaire and be worshipped as a deity because it seems like that's the pandemic, I don't know.
Yeah. And you talk about this a lot. You talk about doing the things that maybe are uncomfortable or that you need to do and you have the discipline to do them. I found for me it was difficult to do those things because I wasn't really good at sales. I was more, I felt my niche more in marketing. So I didn't want to make 300 cold calls or door knock and things like that. But what I would do, what I found is like once you find what you're good at, that should be enough motivation, and you're never going to find it unless you try. So I would tell people like this, I was the last guy to do video. I would not, like I didn't want to be on video. I didn't even have an Instagram account 18 months ago, like I just started. So I think like people who say they can't, or, it's just not for them, they haven't tried. So how the fuck do you know? It's like me saying, I hate that food. I've never eaten it. Like, what that's what people are saying. They're saying no already for the audience. And a lot of times we'll say, well, I'm going to share my perspective, but who cares? That'd be like me asking you to do this podcast, Bryan, and being like, hey, Bryan, I'd love to do this podcast with you, but it's okay if you don't want to do it, man. It's all right. Like, it's okay. Like, that's what people say. They're saying no, you don't know. And if, like, to your point, you don't need that many numbers. You don't need thousands of views and all these vanity metrics. You just need to reach 2 or 3 people, and those people will share it. Those people reach out to you. If somebody DM'd you and said that the advice was helpful to them, that one DM is worth the video. What else were you going to do during that time anyways? That's the same thing as making calls. So I just think like people need to get around that. But kind of shifting gears, and one of the things I do a lot of content about is about financial fitness, how to manage your business, how to improve overall. And it's kind of hard to say now because like you should have been doing this and then you wouldn't have this issue. And but hindsight's always 20/20. But like as a real estate professional, mortgage professional, where we're only driven by commission sales, And what we put in, we get out. And usually most people have this roller coaster of finances. What are the things that agents can do money management wise? I know a lot of this is in your coaching stuff, but what can you share with us, like as far as money management that has helped you kind of, when we hit something like this, you're not even worried. You're like, I'm good. Like I can weather the storm.
Yeah, man, that's a great question, dude. And I'm one who made all the mistakes in the beginning. I got 2 or 3 checks, got a little cocky, bought a car, and I was like, man, I'm the man. Nobody can tell me shit. And I kind of went the other way. But I'm glad I went through that because it taught me that hard lesson. The first thing, and it's very simple. I just implemented a very simple money management system, right? Obviously, I know one thing that I can give people real quick. I think there's too much focus right now on people, especially that only has like one income stream right now, and that income stream isn't even really solid and flowing yet. They're like, oh man, I want to build passive and residual. My advice is build more active income, then start taking that money and using that to build your passive and residual. That's the first mistake I see, is everybody wants more by doing less. You get what I'm saying? It's like that I want to work at home 5 hours a week attitude being transferred over to money. That's not the way it works, right? But more than anything, the first thing I started doing was when I would get like a check, I opened, I think at that first crossroads, 4 different bank accounts, one for taxes, right? And I literally got to the point where the escrow company that I was working with on my listings, particularly, they would actually wire the money to 4 different accounts, right? I would have them, I think they had to wire it to like another account that technically is like the commission. And then from there, they would wire it to the 4. So I had one for taxes, one for education, right? Like all the seminars and books and all that kind of stuff. One for my business expenses and daily expenses, my phone, my rent, my cars and all that stuff, insurance and all that stuff. Then I had another one where 15, 20% was just put away. And I let that money accumulate and I would not touch it. Now it requires a lot of discipline. It's a little different now, but that was my initial setup to keep me going. That way, before I even looked at the money, it was already dispersed. I didn't touch it, because I know a lot of people would say, oh man, that sounds good. But the moment they get that check, if they get that one ad for that car, they're going to be like, it's okay. I'll put an extra 20% down into the car. And there goes the system. It's a system that requires a lot of discipline. And to build it like on a very simple and almost like primal level, I actually set up 4 jars in my house. It's a simple jar system. And I would break, at the time I didn't have too much money, so I would break $1 into a bunch of coins, and I would literally do that, like 50% here, 20% here, as a practice. To me, I was like, I'm saying it to the universe that I have the discipline to do this every single day. And was it a pain to get coins? Yes, but I did it just to condition myself to do it. I did that for 30 days straight, right? And that's the beginning stages for me to do it, dude, because it was so difficult for me to commit to that, man. That was probably one of the most difficult things in my life, because I never really was raised with money. I was never taught about money. So when I started making it, I almost like kind of went crazy, and I was so uneducated in regards to money. Another recommendation: get the book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Great book if you haven't read it. He goes over a basic money management system there. He goes over some limiting beliefs about money and educates you. Then he offers a free event there that you can go to. Now, if you go to the event, they pitch the hell out of you. You don't have to do anything, but just the free information there is good enough to help you build momentum and get around other people who maybe are struggling with the same thing. That's what really pushed me, bro, and gave me momentum. The only adjustment I've made now since this hit was I just dropped my expenses. I think it was 15%, just like that. No problem. I had a Lamborghini for 3 years. I sold it, not because of this, but I was already kind of over it. This just kind of put it over the hill. So I sold that, and I made some other quick little adjustments. Kind of like, I would say, for people, they spend a lot of money. Like they'll go to the gas station and buy chips and a bunch of shit. That adds up. You buy some cigarettes, you buy chips, that's 15, 20 bucks a day. Over a month, you'll probably spend $600-700. Now, for somebody who's only making 5,000 a month, as an example, that's a lot of money. That's 12, 13, 14% right there. So those were the two little shifts I made right now. But that system, bro, built that foundation over the years. So now it's just automatic, boom, 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 boom. I have my account to pull from. I have this one that's getting savings, right? I have another one where that's my play money. 10% goes into that. So if I want to get a new car, I want to go to Vegas, I want to roll the dice, or play craps or something, I have that money set aside. So there's no guilty feeling, which I know, before I pass it back to you, that's what people have when they spend that money. You have that guilty feeling. I know, because I had it, right?
Yeah.
And you're making a mistake and you're going to pay for it later. Maybe not soon, but you will pay for it later when times like these come. So get your finances in order, man. Otherwise, you're going to suffer like I did, and you're going to want to pull your hair out. That's another reason I cut my hair.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is I think this is another side effect. Once you get the system done right, you're running an actual business. You know, you've got your money going where the right places. You have this peace within regarding money, right? And I had the same similar kind of situation with you where money would come in and money would go out in the beginning, you know, and you'd have these huge months and the way I would justify it, and I think a lot of people justify it, is that's just another deal. This is just another two deals. I'll spend this 20 grand, but all I need is like three deals. I'll make it up. And what's three deals? Like, no big deal. I'll get that next month. And you start to spend money like this, it's not reality. You know, you have to think about it as a real money situation. So I think many of us fall into that trap, especially in this business, because the swings are so big, because you can have such huge months. But if you have the discipline to do this, what'll happen, I found, is like you'll actually be more confident in your business, like because you're at peace with the money part. So you can always do the right thing for your client. When somebody cancels, it doesn't break you mentally. You don't even care as much. Like, I know you care, but you don't let it keep you. So what happens, like when your money's not right, is something happens, a deal dies, or um, you know, somebody decide listing expires or whatever that situation is, and you're like in a state of inaction for days because you're like so broken by this event or this client or what this person said to you or like whatever. And you talk about this a lot. I noticed you just talked about it on live yesterday. You said something uh, which was really, it kind of clicked with me, which was de-intensify. So like when these events happen, like this is a pretty intense event that we're going through right now, but even on a micro level with deals, everybody in our business, it's like the drama or something. They love this shit. When something bad goes in a deal, they talk about it, they call their buddy, then they share it with the coworker, then they go here, they go there, and it's like it takes over their whole day and their life. And then as a result, the next week sucks as far as your business goes, or the next month, because of like one micro thing happening. And then you're calling this guy to get his opinion on this. Then you call somebody else, and I just see this all the time in our business in particular. Like, you said this earlier, we're on a fucking train right now. You just keep going. And that has changed my life, essentially. I know you live the same way. What's this thing, like, if you could reshare that people that haven't heard that, where you de-intensify, and how does that help your business?
Yeah, man. It's just a quick little NLP process. I would say if anybody's dealing with a situation, whether it's this or even anything small, um, let's say it was some bad news. The moment that you heard about this, you were watching the news or you got a message from somebody and you keep replaying that in your mind. This happens a lot when people get a phone call that somebody died, or they go through a really traumatic situation. So what we tend to do as human beings is, especially when we fall in those patterns of gossiping, because that's a pattern, right? If somebody's going down that road of always, complaining, which by the way is why I left like 99% of Facebook groups related to real estate, because all they did was bitch and complain or talk shit about somebody. And I was like, dude, what am I even doing in here? So I just left. Is you build a pattern, so that becomes a subconscious activity. It's not conscious anymore. You're not even aware that it's happening anymore. You're just doing it. You're like a robot, right? Because your conscious mind wants to push as much as possible to your subconscious mind, so it doesn't have to process as much. Your conscious mind is way more limited than your subconscious. So what I do, and this is a basic technique, is let's say it's that scenario and you keep replaying it in your mind and talking to people. What it happens is it becomes very intense. If you close your eyes and you picture it, you hear voices, it's clear, it's bright, it has a lot of colors, it's big, you're in it, right? It has a lot of senses activated when you go through that movie reel in your mind. And the brighter it is and the more active it is for the senses, the more real it becomes to your subconscious mind and your imagination, which then becomes your reality. So if you keep replaying that over and over, it just gets deeper embedded into your neurology, because what you put up here and the images and the things that go into your subconscious mind literally gets wired into your body, into your neurology. People don't know that, right? So this exercise is simply to imagine that moment, that movie reel. And the first step is to catch all of these sensory things being activated, right? The sound, the sight, the smell, if you smell something, right? And begin to de-intensify it. So as an example, let's say the color is bright green, and multicolored, you make it black and white. If somebody's nagging or you're hearing a voice that sounds very concerning or aggressive, you change that voice to like Mickey Mouse or something goofy, right? That you would laugh at. Okay. You begin to shrink the image as well. You begin to remove and make more dull the sensory activation of that image, and you do it over and over and over. And ideally what you want to do is every time you want to reduce it, and then imagine it like going down a drain. And you want to do that over and over and over and over. What that does is it starts taking the charge, the emotional charge off of that experience, and it lets you clean it to the point where you'll literally laugh when you think about it. And when you laugh, you fully discharge that negative stuff. So I do that a lot. If I ever catch myself in an old pattern, somebody cuts me off in traffic, and like I get mad for a second, I'll immediately laugh to cut it off and let it release. That's the release, when you can laugh about it. So if any of you have ever also done any advanced, and this is something you could do in the future, like hypnotherapy, where you go to somebody who's like a conversational hypnotist, that's what you go through, right? You'll get to the point where something that maybe made you mad or super sad before, you can literally almost like laugh at it, and it completely removes the emotional charge on you. And when you do this more, you have more control. A lot of people, like if you're listening to this and if somebody says something that makes you upset, like I used to be, and you snap back right away, you're weak, because you're being a puppet to your emotions. You need to be able to be strong. That's going to improve you in every area of your life, your relationships, your sales, and your business, because it has a direct correlation to all of that. You, again, are going to be talking to a consumer who maybe has that same issue that you're having. If you have control over it, you can be in a position, you can be the eye of the storm when they come at you and give you the craziness. You can be the voice of reason and bring them back to reason. Because when you have a conversation with somebody, if we're going to relate this to business, it's a battle of frames, frame of reference. Someone's going to win. And I want my certainty and order to beat their chaos. They bring chaos, I bring order every time. And that's what it's going to be. They're going to bring emotions. I'm going to bring logic communicated emotionally to get them. Okay. That's what it's about. And when you can do this process with yourself and you conquer it for you, then it becomes easier for you to help other people and be more calm in the eye of the storm, versus doing that behavior that he just said. Something bad happens and you're running to this person and telling, oh my God. And I know what you're talking about, because someone will have something happen, and then the next guy they tell is like, oh, that's nothing. Listen to what happened to me. And it becomes this contest to see who has a shittier day. It's like, why would I be engaged in that communication? They're not even aware of what they're doing. To them, that's office life or running a business. No, it's not. That's being disempowered. That's being in the wrong pattern. But that exercise I gave, dude, is just a simple way for you to start to do it. If anybody starts studying NLP, that's one of the introductory things. I believe it's called a swish pattern, because you get it out of your mind and you de-intensify it. So just something really simple that I've done, I continue to do, I've helped a lot of people with, and it helps you take control of how you respond and how you see things. And if you can control your mind and use these processes, it becomes easier for you to hack emotions and not be consumed by them. So I still get scared like anybody else sometimes when I make a call, but my response to it is completely different than somebody else who just gives into it and starts complaining about it. I acknowledge it. I'm like, hey, I know that's this response because of this. Cool. I'm still going to take action.
Yeah. And people have asked me, like, how do you shake things off? And I don't, maybe I'm doing something similar to that. I've never thought about it that way, but um, the dwelling piece screws so many people in our industry and in general in life, just dwelling on an event or a negative outcome. And I think, like, is it true that once you do this, it becomes so like normal to you that you can do it fast, and then it becomes like you're just numb to everything, like as far as that goes, to
Yeah.
negativity?
Yeah. Or you can say that you have control over what you're going to let affect you. Right?
Okay.
Like if I'm in a relationship with a woman, of course I'm going to let her affect me emotionally because we're in a relationship. But someone else, I can get the criticism of a full room here telling me I'm a piece of shit, and I'm just going to laugh and be like, no big deal. Because the issue with that exercise that I gave you is so many people are so unpracticed with their imagination. It's difficult for them to even sit still and close their eyes and do that. But the more you do it, the more active you get with it and the more control you have. And like you said, it becomes automatic later. But you have to go through that process in the beginning of actually sitting there and doing it. And people tell me, oh man, that's so boring. Well, dude, to me, this is life or death, literally, because people have forgotten that our bodies are mostly water, and thoughts and emotions carry a certain frequency and energy and electricity. Why do you think when you're down and your heart's out, they pump you with electricity to get you going? There's a connection there. So if I'm constantly harboring negative emotions and negative thoughts, I'm going to breed or make my body breeding grounds for disease and sickness. But if I'm on a higher frequency, I'm feeling better, I'm more enthusiastic, I have more control over it, I attract better, right? And I can live better and live healthier. I hardly get sick anymore, dude. It's rare if I ever get sick. I think I've been sick once for like a day in the last like 4 or 5 years, dude, because of this. I used to get sick all the time. But when I look back at how my thoughts were, my state of mind, it was much more negative. So it makes sense that I was getting more sick, because diet is one thing, but mental diet is even more important.
That's huge, man. And to your point, you have this thing on your, I don't know, it's on a pillar or something, so like no negativity allowed. when you walk in the office, and you do this repetitive all the time, like it's in your stories, and it's like walking in the morning, no negativity allowed, and you could see it, maybe a couple times a week or maybe more. I don't know. So I'll be sitting at my desk, and everybody's got this. I think it's a twitch. You're sitting there, you do something, and then you go to your phone. It's like you don't even know what the fuck you're checking on your phone. You just grab your phone, go in there, and so like I'll go into stories now a lot, and I'll catch that, and like you might have been going down a negative thing, and like just that quick reminder is cool, like to be like, okay, you have to really block it. You have to just like not allow that shit to affect you. And one of the kind of final topics I want to go over was a lot of people give me shit about this, and it's because I'm not really good at it, because I'm trying to balance family and work and kids and all this stuff, and I go so hard with what I'm doing business wise. So I'm trying to get better at it. But I know people ask you this too, because pretty much your life is your work. So they're like, dude, what do you do for balance? And you'll tell them like, dude, I don't have a balance, like, or like this is basically the same thing. It's all together. So like, what's this thing where like people from the outside, they say you must have a separation of like work and life. But I noticed the most successful people have no separation. It's just all blended together. Like it's just one. Like if so, in my free time, for example, I would prefer to talk to you for 30 minutes about content or something, right? That would be fun to me. And also it would help my business, right? And so the two are together for me. And other people will give me shit like, dude, you work too much. Like, why don't you just watch the game or have a case of beer or whatever? Like, and I just think they haven't found that passion. Because is it true that basically it's okay, or like, do you see the same thing where it's all just one, and then you just have one unit going?
Well, I think it's two things, man. I think if somebody who is successful is pushing that, they just have a certain belief or philosophy that just happens to be that you need a separation, or they have an agenda. I mean, they're trying to sell you something. Personally, that's what I think. And the other side of it, it's always people who aren't even in that position giving that advice 99% of the time. It's a person who doesn't have a business saying you need balance. It's a person who one day might think of a business idea that's telling you that. So one of like the tenets that I tell people around me is you need to check and qualify the people who are giving you criticism or advice about something. Are they in a position to give you the advice? If they are and they're qualified, then I'm all ears. But if they're not, it's like, cool, you can state your opinion, but that doesn't mean I have to listen to it. I can reject it just like you say it. So um, with me, dude, I just treat my life, we can say, like a business, right? Like I have free time, right? But that's even scheduled, and I have fun. I don't feel like when I'm here that I'm slaving away and working and oh my God, I'm grinding. Like I love this shit. And I set it up that way. And I think every entrepreneur should do that. If I was working a 9 to 5, fuck yeah, I'd be miserable as shit. I'd probably put a bullet in my brain if I worked a 9 to 5, right? That's why I'm doing this. And I kind of had to figure it out as I went. But everything is on purpose. Everything is purposeful. Everything is strategic. My girlfriend works for me. We find time in and outside of the office to spend time with one another. So there's no dissatisfaction in what I'm doing. So why would I change what I'm doing if there's no dissatisfaction? Someone else is trying to fabricate that and insert it in and say, well, in my world, that doesn't make sense. So you need to do it my way. And ultimately, that's what I think it is someone's trying to impose their beliefs on you when you have every right to live and do as you please. So I would tell people, try it out. Before you come in trying to make this work-life balance, how about you start your business and work and figure it out as you go? Because 99 out of 100 people that ask me that question, man, they don't have a business.
Yeah.
Or they're maybe in the beginning stages and they're not even really working that hard when I ask them, but they're like, oh man, I need balance. I think that's just an outside idea that's been drilled into their head, that they're looking for something that they're not going to find. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that is just prior conditioning. And we learn a lot about that too, like the 7 layers, where an action is at the top and at the very bottom you have, identity, values, and beliefs. We need to get there when we talk to somebody to help them. Because again, I think that question that we get or that issue people are having is just a symptom of the real problem. I think deep down inside, there's something that's telling them to do that. They need to locate where that was inserted and deal with that versus just us answering the question on a very conscious level on the surface saying, oh yeah, man, it doesn't matter. Because they're not going to get the message. Even if we give them the most perfect, eloquent answer, we have to get down to the reason why that's even coming up as a thought in their mind, right? And that's why I'm, so intrigued by those subjects that I told you, because it really gets down into somebody's, psychology and like if you want to help somebody, you really can. Versus me just being a fucking motivation guru and saying, yeah, go after it and go after your dreams. That's cool, but that only helps so much.
Yeah. And that's where people stop with a lot of advice that they're getting online. It's just a very surface level, and then you really have to go deeper to find about all this stuff. So guys, like I would encourage you, if you want to learn more about Bryan's stuff or anything that we talked about today, reach out to either one of us. If you're watching this online, I will link below the Bryan's Instagram and his YouTube channel, so you can check it out. And a lot of the topics we have discussed today are covered in more depth on different videos. So I would encourage you guys to check that stuff out. And just want to thank you, Bryan, for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed jamming with you. Yeah, hopefully we can continue the conversation.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah, if you want, I can even post this on my podcast as well. If you're open to it, just send me a copy of it.
Yeah, we'll do, man. Thanks so much for doing this, buddy.
No, thank you, man. And it's cool to have these types of conversations, man, because this is like more along the lines of what I want versus just the traditional, hey, we need to get out there and make calls, 550 calls a day, like all the other bullshit. Because like I told you, dude, even off camera, I kind of get upset now, and we can wrap up with this. I see a lot of the social media platforms getting more and more PC, and I saw this years ago,
Yep.
but it just sucks because then if I want to go speak to an audience where I can deliver the right message that I want to deliver, I'm told I can't say this or talk about that. I've done some speeches, bro, where I get an itemized list before I go of like 20 things I can't do. I'm like, dude, you want me to just go up there and stand and like stare at people? Like, this is ridiculous. And they're paying me. So I'm like, I want to do it. But I'm almost to the point now where I'm not going to do that stuff anymore. It's like, dude, let me be me. Right. Some people may get offended. It doesn't matter because the message is going to get through. And ultimately, that to me is more important. So I know I'm being penalized on YouTube as an example and getting less subscribers and less views now, more and more so as it gets more PC and, kind of censored, but that's fine. I'm not going to just suddenly change because the few people who do come to us are going to get the real benefit. And I tell people, I'm not for everybody. I'm not for the majority for sure. I know you're not either. We're for the right people and for the
Yep.
right tribe. And this tribe is going to be a bunch of fucking lions, not a bunch of sheep. And I'm proud to say that. And I stand by that. So I tell people, you want to be a sheep or a lion? You want to be a lion? When you come to this tribe, you better step up because if you start acting like a sheep, we're going to kick you out and make you go over there with the sheep where you belong.
Yeah, I think people get they think you're a little bit of a dick or you're being harsh, but it's just the truth, dude. Like that's just the way it is, and it's you see those people thrive, and you see the other people just continue to have the same problems year after year. It's like Groundhog Day. So yeah, man, check it out and learn more from both of us. If you have questions, let us know, and we'd be happy to help anybody on a one-to-one basis. I know you respond to pretty much all your DMs and comments and stuff, which is cool.
Hell yeah, man. I do my best. I'm getting too many now, but I do go through them. Sometimes it takes me a couple of weeks to respond, but I do my best to go through them.
Awesome, dude. Thanks so much.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon, man. See ya.